he's just going to keep going and going and going. And as much as he can possibly accuse the royal family of whatever it is and use the media against them, he will do that. So I think hopes of reconciliation now are distant and very sort of basically, frankly, there's no chance of reconciliation in the medium to long term.
Now, the reason the King won't speak to Harry is because he expects their conversations to be leaked to the media. In a leak to the media, a friend has had this to say to the Sunday Times.
It's not that the King won't speak to him, it's that he can't. How can you have a private and delicate conversation when you know it's going to end up on a news special within hours? Perhaps if he tried to earn rather than demand a reconciliation, things might go a little better for him. Harry just sees conspiracy every time a decision doesn't go in his direction. He's like a gambler in a casino who can't walk away. He just doubles down. Even when he speaks of reconciliation, it's laced with threats and anger.
Well, let's speak now to Duncan Larkham, former royal editor at The Sun. Morning to you, Duncan.
Good morning, Chloe. Hi.
I mean, could this be anticipated in light of what Prince Harry had said, that there would be this kind of reaction?
Well, I think so, yes. I mean, Harry's broken the one rule the royals hold very dear, and that is that you don't speak to the media about your relationships with other members of the family. He's broken that circle of trust, and so the King's a bit trapped, really. I don't see how on earth he could be expected to speak to Harry without wishing to speak to the American media or whoever Harry chose to spill it to.
I just wonder why Harry doesn't understand that, because you talk about breaking the rules. I mean, he keeps breaking the rules. He keeps doing these interviews and he keeps airing their dirty laundry in public. And let's be honest, all families have difficulties, but you don't want it aired in public, do you?
Well, no, of course you don't. But, Harry has broken it time and time again. Since they left the UK, Harry and Meghan have been on the offensive, frankly, about the whole royal family and the institution that he calls it. It is absolutely, there's only one strike and you're out. Any of Harry's old friends that spoke to the media, as soon as they did that, they were out. Harry doesn't seem to understand that, which I find astonishing, to be honest.
So from what you're saying, that sounds like, that there is going to be no way back for him to reconcile his relationship with the family.
Well, people say there's no way back. I think there is possibly a way back ultimately, because if you look at somebody like Camilla, for example, she was the number one public enemy, and now she's our queen, and things are forgiven. But there's a lot of water that's got to pass under the bridge before Harry could even think about rebuilding his relationship with his brother or his father.
And of course, there's the court of public opinion as well, isn't there? And the fact that actually, while many people, remember Prince Harry having to walk behind the coffin of his mother as a young boy, with people just not even being able to imagine what he went through, the trauma of losing his mother, let alone having to do things like that. But it feels like the public is becoming less sympathetic as this continues.
Yes, I think there's a lot of evidence for that. When you look at the opinion polls, it wasn't that many years ago that Harry was second only to the Queen in terms of public opinion. He was incredibly popular. People absolutely adored him, and they forgave him all his mishaps that he seemed to constantly get into. And now he languishes at the bottom of the opinion polls, second only to Prince Andrew. And I think that's saying something, really.
Absolutely. We heard yesterday one word which was used, which I thought was absolutely fascinating, was a weariness inside Buckingham Palace, that this is continuing. Do you get a sense that Harry has anyone around him who is kind of trying to maybe be honest and say, look, this isn't the best strategy if you want that reconciliation? Do we have a sense of, is he listening to people? Are they not giving him that advice? What do we know?
I think there really isn't anybody around Harry. I think his biggest influence is his wife. She's estranged from her family and doesn't speak to her dad, doesn't speak to her half brothers and sisters, and it's really rather worrying to think that Harry now, for the past 5 years, really has cut himself off almost deliberately from his own family. And I think I think the public just see him as a whinging, whining prince who plays the victim card every time he gets the chance.
Do you think he's got a point when he comes and talks about security and his fears for visiting this country with his family, with his wife, with his small children? Do you think the right decisions have been made regarding his security? And do you think there has been some input from the palace?
Yeah, to be honest, this is where I sort of differ from what most people think. I believe that Harry should be entitled to royal protection when he's in the UK and his family, because there is a very real threat to him. And it's not his fault that he was born a prince. It's not his fault that he served in Afghanistan. But that's not a popular opinion. I mean, the popular opinion is that he's basically made his bed and he's got to lie in it.
Do you think there was, I mean, he used that famous phrase, didn't he? It was a good old-fashioned stitch-up. Do you believe that there was any input from people within the palace? And I'm not necessarily saying the king, but, all of the different levels within the palace who were basically trying to punish him, say, you walked away, you don't get this. Do you think they could have been involved in that process? Because that's what he's insinuating.
It's what he's implying, exactly. No, I think that's paranoid nonsense. There's no way the king would risk involving himself and intervening in the judicial process. It would be a constitutional problem. And Harry's barking at the moon, frankly, when he puts that allegation across.
How do you think this ends for the royal family? Do you think that there comes a time when Harry stops talking, or do you think this is just what Prince William, the king, have to live with, that every so often Prince Harry will come out, will do an interview with the media and will continue to discuss it?
Well, I think the hopes in the palace had been raised by the fact that Harry had sort of almost stopped parking his tanks on the lawn and hadn't made any allegations and comments about the royal family for some months. And I think what will have shocked them is this new attack from Harry, this extraordinary interview with the BBC, is a sign that he's just going to keep going and going and going. And as much as he can possibly accuse the royal family of whatever it is and use the media against them, he will do that. So I think hopes of reconciliation now are distant and very sort of basically, frankly, there's no chance of reconciliation in the medium to long term.
It's desperately sad.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Royal Chronicles. Get comfy because we have a lot to talk about today. And yes, once again, Prince Harry is out here showing the world what grace, strength and integrity really look like. And Meghan Sussex? Oh, she's still shining bright and living rent-free in some very bitter people's minds. So, let's get into it. Prince Harry just gave an interview that shook the royal bee's nest. He spoke from the heart, saying he wants to reconcile with his family, even though King Charles won't speak to him right now because of this ridiculous legal mess over his security. Harry literally said, life is precious, and he wants to forgive his father, his brother, even his stepmother. I mean, talk about being the bigger person. While some people in royal commentary land are acting like forgiveness is some backhanded move, Harry's out here doing what actual grown-ups do, healing. But of course here come the usual suspects in the press, twisting his words faster than a royal spin doctor at Buckingham Palace. Harry throws hand grenades. Harry attacks his father. Oh, please, if telling the truth about how you were left vulnerable and unsupported is an attack, then maybe the problem isn't Harry. Maybe the problem is the people who let him down in the first place. And let's not forget, Harry lost his final legal challenge to get his UK police protection back. This isn't about some VIP perks. This is about safety, literal safety. The man is a target, and he knows it. Anyone acting like he's being entitled clearly forgot how we got here in the first place. It wasn't Harry who ran to the tabloids. It wasn't Meghan Sussex who leaked private stories. No, they left that toxic mess behind and still can't get a moment's peace. I mean, Harry even said he wishes he could show his kids his homeland. How heartbreaking is that? Archie and Lily deserve to know where their dad grew up, without fear or drama. But nope, The same institution that claims family first keeps putting up barriers. Honestly, the hypocrisy could power the royal palace's electricity bill for a year. And can we talk about the so-called royal commentators calling Harry's forgiveness grudging or insincere? Oh, the irony. These people get paid to criticize him no matter what he does. If he stayed silent, they'd call him cold. If he speaks, he's throwing grenades. Maybe it's time they look in the mirror and realize they're the ones keeping the rift alive. Meanwhile, Meghan Sussex? Unbothered, thriving, loving her family. And while tabloids are busy foaming at the mouth trying to bait her into responding, she's too busy winning at life. I know it must burn every royal reporter who wakes up hoping for a scandal, only to see her walking her dog in peace. But let's be real here. Harry's heart is pure. He's been through unimaginable loss, betrayal and public scrutiny, yet he's still out here hoping for reconciliation. That's powerful. That's love. And that's something none of his critics can understand because they're too busy selling headlines instead of telling the truth. So if you're watching this, send Harry and Meghan Sussex some love in the comments. Let's drown out the negativity with positivity because honestly the world needs more of what they're standing for: compassion, integrity and standing up for what's right, even when the whole establishment wants you to shut up. Right, Royal Fam, that's all for today. If you love hearing the real royal stories without the tabloid trash, make sure to subscribe to the Royal Chronicles. And if you want to support independent commentary, hit that super thanks button and keep this community going strong. Until next time, stay kind, stay classy, and remember, love always wins.